Here we are, Dirty Snow Podcast, episode 11, season 5. We've been at this for 11 rounds, Norm, this year. Holy shit, we're coming to the end. We're winding down here.
2 more to go. I'm tired. I think you're tired. Not that we're tired of doing this, just it's every weekend. That's a lot.
Well, I did get home this morning at about 7 a.m. and I came into work and had issues and then took a little cat nap, and we're here now.
Yeah.
It was one of those weekends. It was a good break not to be racing, and an experience like no other to work with Alan Decker and seeing him return after 30 years of not being in Valcourt.
Yeah, you got to experience it first time up there kind of as a spectator.
Yeah, it was different for sure. I wasn't as much on the trailer. We did get catered to a little. We had hot box seats, which gave me a whole other perspective of the Valcourt, the Grand Prix facility. If you're going by the hot seats, if you're not in the trailer full time or spectator more or less, yeah, the hot seats are the hot ticket. You have a TV, you have everything. It's similar to Eagle River. You can't go wrong. You got a bar to fill your shots up with your friends, and the energy and the booths are just insane there as well as in the crowd.
Yeah, I got to watch a little bit each day through some of the highlights and a little bit on flow. Crowd looked really good. As always, that whole community really rallies around the racetrack. So that's always nice to see. Like you said, that whole facility has all the amenities that I think a lot of race fans look for. They got the expo building. They have hot boxes. They got vendors, which is makes it a whole event.
Yeah, they had 10,000 people on the grounds, 10,000 plus, I believe, on Saturday. In itself, it is a facility where you're at a racetrack. When you walk down the tunnel to get to the facility, there's lighting on the ground showing that we care. There's a history wall. They just go over the top, from the fun zone for the kids to creating. They're not there to sell hot dogs. They're not there. They have no interest in selling their own hot dogs. They bring in food trucks. They bring in good food trucks, and they let those people do their job. And they're focused on putting a show on and production quality. One of the best part, I think, is the bar back by the pits. You can be in the pits, not in the hot pits, having a beer, looking at sleds, and bullshitting with your buddies and telling stories.
Oh, that's the way to do it.
The way the French do it. The Canadians do it. The alley to a pit lane for oval racing was swarmed. We posted a video on the Dirty Snow podcast page, thanks to Steve Hagen or Steve Hagen. Sorry, I had Snowcross on my mind there with that. Hagen is the last name. But that showed right there. You couldn't walk through the pits. You were shoulder to shoulder, kids getting autographs. Kids, I said kids. Yes, there's kids at their races because they do have things for the kids to do, and mom and dad can go watch the races and have a beer and drink with their friends. There's one of those facilities that's got it figured out. And if you're a U.S. promoter and you're not going there, I don't know what you're doing wrong. You should be going there and learning just like they did. When I first got to know the head of the Grand Prix, I spotted him at mini races from Manitoba to Eagle River and a few others throughout the season. And we were just getting started with the podcast at the time. He didn't know who we were, and we got to know him I got to know him with time. But that inspired me. That guy went to all these other racetracks and seen what they were doing so they could stay the best. So nobody could play catch up. Well, you guys got to play catch up. This is, there's no time to spare. You got to learn how to do a production, and you can say, oh, it's got backing of Skidoo and this and that. And the track is self-efficient. At the end of the day, yeah, that's cool. They have the backing. It's in the backyard. But that doesn't mean it covers every bill. It doesn't mean it goes into all the marketing. It doesn't mean it sets up the lights.
Yeah, that's part of it. There's a lot to it. and I think everyone can learn from each other. I mean, it helps. I think having snowcross there a little bit. You got
snowcross wasn't there prior,
but that's what I was getting to. I'm
that's
like,
just
today's
that's only 2 years in existence.
Yeah, and they did have snowcross, but they didn't have the national series there. So they still, prior to Flow being there, they still put on a really good production as far as from a media standpoint, and it's always been packed.
Yeah, they threw an awesome Twitch in there. They took suit. They had a drone with more cinematography style shots, not much of a chase drone because it was a Maverick GTI. But it did a great job with the cinematography, with post race and showing the fans and getting your over sky views. If you were watching flow of the food areas and the kid playlands and the jungle gyms and the mini Z track, which is not a mini Z track like we think here in the States. It was, hey, come sign a waiver and go turn laps on a mini Z.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's not like a race part of it, but it got kids fired up. It got kids involved. It got kids thinking about snowmobiles.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Riding.
One thing I've always thought, like somehow we could incorporate it back in this area was getting like like Cranon does the hay wagon ride like on the off-road track.
Yeah,
I don't know if you could do something similar to that.
They have a paddock tour up there where you jump in a ski sled and they drive you through the paddock and then they bring you back around to the other side, which is pretty neat,
Yeah, if we could do something like that, whether not necessarily get them on the racing surface, but have something similar. And it's hard, like racetrack, track's got to keep moving and show's got to go on. But
hard at the end of the day,
it's timing and doing it. So let's get to the results for this weekend, though. We do have some results here. So PVR was racing at OCC. They had pretty decent sled count down there. That's the Outagami Conservation Club. IFS Snow Pro 340, Jesse Wergen picked up the win over Tyler Feldman and Steve Perrick Jr. Supermod 440 Free Air, Mason Schutte over Chad Knaus and Nathan Voigt. Superstock 340, Jesse Wergen again on top of the box over Tim Pelvecki and Jim Lemke. And then Superstock 340 Free Air, Jim Lemke over Tim Pelvecki and Kyle Mugg. Their next race will be at the Manawa Snodeo this weekend. And then the Grand Prix de Valcourt. USA Pro Star Series was there Saturday. Blaine Stevenson picked up, I believe it's 5th win in a row.
Yeah. Blaine's on a ripper with the Pro Star Cup. He did have a dominant showing. It was a Blaine show. The power slide moves. He was just fast. He's in the throttle before anybody else, and it showed. He walked away with it, and they got this stuff figured out.
Yeah. Gunner was second, and then Philippe Roy Lalonde, if I pronounced that right, finished third. Supermob 440 on Saturday. You had Sabrina Blanchette over Luke Lacasse and Andrew Daru.
Yeah, Sabrina had the boys covered, and there was
fast stuff.
Different zip codes for sure.
Yeah, that's her backyard.
Codes.
So, and then Champ the Sunday race, the Grand Prix. Gunnar Stern picked up the win over Blaine Stevenson and Philippe. And then IFS 340, 440 combo class, Luke Lacasse over Carl Blight and Andrew Darrow. And I spelled Andrew's name wrong on that one, so I apologize for that. I gave him Andre. I must have been thinking of Bonsai. Here is the Decker Triple Crown, the top 10 qualifiers, and the LCQ lineup going into the Manawa Snodeo. So LCQ is going to be ran on Saturday on the PVR track. And then the top 2 out of the LCQ will start the back row for the final, which will be ran on the USSA track on Sunday. So here's your current top 10 of, lots of fast folks.
Do you want to bring this up and chat on it, or should we just run through it right now, Norm, on what we're thinking?
Let's run through our housekeeping, and I'll come back to the slide. How's that sound?
Yeah, I think that's a better option. And we can really dive into the Decker Triple Crown we're sitting at and kind of seat it and see what we really seen
and see what people who are watching, who they think.
If you got some comments, throw them in the comments right now. Who you think could win that Decker Triple Crown? Maybe your top 3. Let's see that comment section blow up.
There's the Decker Triple Crown. So yeah, top 3. Maybe who's your 2 out of the LCQ? The LCQ is a pretty stacked. That's a solid B main right there.
Yeah, so we're going to come back to that, but give you some time to throw stuff in the comments if you're part of that group, if you're on stateside.
Yeah. And then moving along, February, like we said, race season coming to the checkered flag here. You got the rest of this month and then a few weeks into March, and that's probably all going to be said and done.
Yeah, and the new ad was Dorchester the 22nd. That
is
kind of a late planned
barn burner.
Yeah.
Barn burner.
$20-some thousand plus in purse already. Like these guys, they do killing it out there for his event. I'll give it to Paul.
Yeah. So of course this weekend you got the Manawa Snodeo here in Manawa, Wisconsin. It is a combined event with USSA and PVR. CMPR is at Gray Eagle, Minnesota. You got Woodstock for the East Coast guys going on this weekend. Priest Lake over in Idaho for the West Coast. And then that's this weekend. Moving on to next weekend, you have another combined USSA and PVR show with the World Series at Eagle River, followed by Detroit Lakes for the Central Minnesota Pond Racing. And then Dorchester is also going on here in Wisconsin with Ice Oval Unlimited. An event that is happening on Thursday is Legend Laps at Eagle River.
Yeah, well, I'll be up at Legend Laps. I'm going to take a few sleds up there. The 2 twin trackers that I was up in Valcourt with, we're going to bring those to Legend Laps. I think we have some Brad Wooling sleds, if I remember right. That's going to be really neat. I do have a list of drivers here, Norm, if you want to.
Oh, for Legend Laps?
Yeah, I do have a few names here.
We're going to name drop here.
Yeah.
So. Okay, this is confirmed coming to Legend Laps. You have Tim Bender, Jeff Ludwig, Gary Moyle, John Wicht, John Berard, Bob Bennett. We'll be driving a Manta.
Yeah, an original Manta. Also, that's a 2-track sled, the Manta.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that's kind of a neat deal. You kind of sit inside of a Manta. That'll be neat to see. They weren't really good race sleds, but they were cool.
Yeah. I will be up there as well. I'm going to try to get off order.
And I did say the wrong sleds. It's going to be the Bender sleds we're also going to have from the club.
Okay. There's also a 2-time world champ who's attending. It is a surprise, according to the message we got. So there's a lot of 2-time world champs out there. It's man,
this is an older 2-time world champ, so we gotta
dig back pretty far.
Yeah, I know who it is because I had a conversation on the phone about it, but I can't pull off the top of my head, and I think let's keep that a surprise for photo day.
Yeah, I have a few in mind. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. We'll talk after the show on who it is. But that is what's going on. Legend Laps, that's at Eagle River. It is free to the public, I believe, for those that want to come watch.
Or donations for
the hot boxes.
But I could be wrong, for the museum.
Yeah, most of the proceeds goes to the Snowmobile Hall of Fame. It's part of the Ride with the Champs weekend for the 4 individuals that are getting inducted into the Snowmobile Hall of Fame this year. So, and it starts with Legend Laps. They're having a luncheon inside as well. Drivers want to bring some old race sleds out and race. There's a sign up on Eagle River's website.
That is Thursday. And then Friday, you go into the Ride with the Champions.
And the trails are open. They don't have to ride a bus this year.
Yeah. And then you go into the inauguration for your inductees on Saturday.
Yep.
And I got to know one of the inductees this year. We're gonna jump into that a little later in the show.
Yeah. We'll get moving right along. Housekeeping, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we got to thank the fine folks over at Woody's Traction Products for keeping us hooked up and keeping the show moving right along. Our friends at USSA Pro Star Series. Rick over at Papa Seasonings. The folks at Emperor One CBD Products.
Emperor One made it to podium snowcross this weekend too.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, we did see the Emperor One logo up there floating around, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's always good to see, right?
Yeah.
And then the folks at PJR Home Services. So you were saying you got to meet one of the people that's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. It was, I got to meet Chester. Chester developed the twin tracker. At first, he didn't know who I was, but he kind of got it by the end of the day once we were at the point where the mechanics were needed. Actually, Steven really got to work with Chester. He's my good friend and wrenched for me for a while. They tore apart a Jacques Villeneuve 340 in the pits in t-shirts practically on Sunday to make this sled run. And Chester himself took the motor apart because it was like being back 30 years ago. We ran in a situation, motor was seized it up, and those guys went to town. It was like he walked right back into where he was. And that was probably one of the coolest things, seeing the clips of one of Villeneuve's old sleds. And Chester Gavol, yes, he's a legend, Fred. Thanks for chiming in. And my good friend Steven. So we've been telling Steven he's in the junior F1 twin tracker program for mechanics.
I called him CJ on the way home, Chester Jr. You know, he's got to learn and work from the masters. So there's
a lot of stir about the twin trackers, which is awesome. We got to see Alan Decker, the #1 plate holder for Skidoo, bring a sled back out. It wasn't the Alan Decker sled, but we had it wrapped in that theme, and he was like a kid in a candy store. It was like, as a mechanic, it was like, hey, watching my son, well, in this case, Alan Decker, at his first kitty cat race, the way he was so happy to be just riding the snowmobile again 30 years after being there in 1992.
Yeah, that was cool to see. Alan and Sabrina on the sleds, and there's a third driver.
And McDonald,
yes.
He's actually part of the Maritime Snowmobile Championship Racing junior program or mentor program.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. I wish I got to talk to him more this weekend about that, but I actually had a phone call with him a while back about it, or I tried reaching out to him. But now I got to meet him. You know, he got off the sled and he asked me, how much carb weight did I have on it? I'm like, well, I think we have like 6 or whatever on it. It's like, it felt like there was 24 on each side.
Little bit of arm.
And it's like, you know, you really made my day. I could die tomorrow and go to Skidoo heaven. I could go to Skidoo heaven, is what he said. And it was like, that was, yeah, for a guy that raced them back in the day and then an opportunity to jump on it. Yeah, it wasn't at a race pace, but these guys are 70 some years old or just shy.
Yeah, Alan's just shy of 70.
Like
Sabrina's late 20s.
Yeah, and we had it richened up and everything. It wasn't about going fast. It was just to ring the remnants for Chester's inductee into the Hall of Fame to bring these twin trackers back, and maybe something in the future here that we can think about. And we wanted to see all the fans. And I didn't know how famous Alan was until I was in Canada with him. And people were coming out of the woodworks telling stories of when they were kids watching him and his brothers and other twin track drivers and Villeneuve's race and Goodwin's and Vasseurs and Van Dolders race. Like, they were telling stories to us about that and how they idolized it, and they were the greatest thing on ice. So I think they may be the greatest thing again on ice with time.
Yeah, lots of things in the works potentially regarding twin trackers. So that's exciting. I'm glad there was an overwhelming amount of support for the class.
They turn heads.
Like, yeah, they're
you open the doors. The way they, even though they were at 340s, you pulled them into the paddock and people like turned. It was like watching a zebra walk into a room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very cool to see. Pictures of it, because they were before our time in terms of like racing, seeing them as the premier class. So that was super cool to see. It's kind of like when I saw them up close and in person at the Hall of Fame. It was like, wow, this is
pretty neat,
quite the piece of engineering. and they put on a good show. They're fast and they're racy. I'm sure if everyone was a spring chicken again, they would have been a little racier.
I can't wait to see some sled jockeys if there is a return. Some sled jockeys get on them and show 12 wild machines in a exotic setting.
Yeah. It's always fun to
possible.
go back and like watch the YouTube videos from the Super Series days. Very entertaining.
I always enjoyed watching them for sure, and watching Donahue Bobby at the end being a speaker with Paul Page.
Yeah, that was something. They had a lot of media coverage, 30, 40 years ago with a series like that, and somewhere along the lines it kind of fell off or went to the wayside where I don't know if snowcross kind of took over, but it took some media away from ice oval just because you had ESPN and Wild World of Sports covering the snowmobile racing, and
it could all come back.
It could very well come back, but there was a fall off, I'd say, in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, you could say that. In there's some things you could look at and see where we went wrong as a sport, and not do it again. That's
exactly. You just learn from it. You can't dwell on it.
Yeah, we got to learn from a lot of things. I think the sport is at a low across the country.
Yeah.
Even Canada, we notice it in some of the smaller stuff. There's nothing to strive for currently. So we need to bring that stride back to make kids dream and make kids want to race.
Yeah, it's tough. Keeping the youth in it, right? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, building superstar drivers to give them that fandom to idolize, and then teams to be legendary. So.
Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss as far as Valcourt before we dive into the weekend ahead?
I think I said everything right away at the beginning. I had a little rant there, and it was hard to stop that train. Valcourt does it best currently, and I think every racetrack should be watching what they're doing. And if you're a promoter and you're not going to their events, you got to change your strategies, and you got to see what the best are doing. No different than racing. When you walk around their sleds and you're trying to figure out what they're doing, you always got to watch the evolution of this sport and step up or step away is the hard part.
Yeah. What is it? Imitation is the finest form of flattery, right?
Yeah. That's 100%. If someone's copying you, it means you're doing it right. If someone's yelling at you, it means you're doing it. Sometimes right if they're not on the good side.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everyone can learn from what goes on, pros, cons, and everything. They're all learning points for sure. But
put bars in the pits. That's what I'm saying.
The bars in the pits, yeah.
That's one thing we've noticed, with going
and a boxing ring on the front stretch.
Yeah. More drones for sure.
That was I did
that's
get
a
couple of messages in the last couple of days like, hey, have you guys got any more of the B-roll footage from the drone? I'm like, he has it with him on a flash drive in Canada. I don't have access to it. So
yeah, we got to keep changing our sport, making it better. That's all we can do, and that's what this podcast is here today.
Yeah.
5 years ago, I said we want to see changes.
Yeah,
we've seen some, but
absolutely,
we're here again, saying it again.
Yeah, stuff's got productive changes. But speaking of something that was productive and that has changed was the Decker Triple Crown, as we have gotten a lot of money and increased awareness to the F500 class. So going into Manawa this weekend here at the Manawa Snodeo, these are your top 10 qualifiers in your LCQ lineup that are going to race for $10,000 for first place money and a engraved Henry rifle, as well as $7,000 in additional purse money for 2nd through 10th. I believe they're paying out to.
Yeah.
So
that's like 2nd through 10th is as much as a Pro Star race for the champ boys even.
Yeah, that's a lot of money in that 500.
I think the second place guy is walking home with say $2,000 or so. Yeah, that's a big weekend for the boys. So.
We never got that kind of money when we raced that 500.
Yeah, that's it's awesome that these guys stepped up and showed that this is something they want to work towards in building the sport and giving these guys something to be proud of. And you look at that top 10 list and you go, man, those guys are all pretty talented drivers and consistent. They had to be consistent to be in the show or dominant. One of the two. You were consistent or dominant because you were missing a race or something, like Dane Klinger missed a race, so he had to be dominant. Derek Meyer had to be dominant after his injury. Even though he had the injury, he had to make those points.
Yeah, with a weekend broken ankle, he still took a green flag in a heat race to get starting points.
Nick Kurt, just consistent. Colton Walning, super consistent. He didn't have a win of any way, but the guy was consistent, and it showed, and he became number one plate holder.
Yeah, it was qualifier. I mean, all the top four plus a couple others have all won races. They've all won finals.
And then you go and you look at that LCQ, and you've got Brad Kolchak, which is currently a winner of one of the rounds of the Triple Crown, but had a week sitting out with a slight injury and had to do a start and park, and that affected his points.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting lineup. You have fast people all the way through from 1 through 20 on this list here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the spreadsheet right now. That's on Manawa's website, and fourth place through tied for ninth. There's only 15 points separating, 6 positions.
I don't know what the size of the racetrack is. I bet you if it's a bigger racetrack, you're going to see some guys benefit over others. If it's a bull ring, I could see guys like Colton Abraham maybe being fast. I feel like some of the other guys got a little more speed on the big tracks than he's got, but he's got good corner speed and just throwing some others. Dane, he's just one of those guys. He's fast where he goes.
He's got a heavy right thumb.
He's got a great right thumb. Like, he doesn't need a mechanic for that trailer. He's got a right thumb is what he pretty much does.
So yeah, let's see in the comments for the people that are watching. If you followed the Triple Crown this year, who's your favorite? Going into the weekend. We talked with Colton Walney last weekend. He was testing this past weekend on his off weekend, and like we said, he's been very consistent. Podiums. New sled this year. However, you can't. This one doesn't. Consistency doesn't matter. You need to be fast.
You're gonna win or you're not gonna win. You're gonna walk away with the purse, the suitcase of 10,000 singles.
Bring a hacksaw. You might have to cut the cuffs off Dave's arm. Might have to cut Dave's arm off to get the suitcase. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we have to have you with a little security guard outfit.
Yeah, I could
put you in, and we can handcuff it to you and put your rifle on your back.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you could walk out with it, or
21 gun salute or something. Yeah. I don't know who we could. I mean.
Oh, the comment section's firing up. That's what I like to see.
Meyer
Missiles.
He won over.
Maybe the spoiler. Yeah. Derek Meyer is a little mad. He is a missile. You can't count that young gun out.
Yeah, I'm very happy that the parties at B realize that he is a talented individual.
It took him too long to make that decision,
and they let him run the pro class. Which he has shown that he's deserving of, other than his off at Ironwood. You don't see the 10 sled getting beaten, banged on, nor visits to the hay bales.
Or driving through people.
So he's won every junior class that's out there. So I'm happy that they let him run this.
Well,
Richard Bork, he's in the race and he's commenting. Come on, Rich.
He's in the
LCQ.
LCQ, yeah. Well, these guys know their and the story. Richard knows what's up. He competes against these guys on a weekly basis.
Yeah, he picked
knows
his top 4.
Hungry.
So, but moving over to the LCQ, like we said, Brad had won the first race up at Ironwood. Kendra, Austin Graber had problems at Wassa. He was in the top 10 until he burned down in a heat race and missed the final. Kendra was, I believe, sitting right at the cutoff line as well.
And she missed.
She didn't come to Wassa for the PVR show. So this is the projected LCQ lineup. I mean, everyone's still got to show up at Manawa. But I don't know. That's a heck of a B, man. Paul Sockwell says Brad Kolchak from the LCQ.
Yeah, he's from that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Paul Sockwell actually kind of got Brad Kolchak into racing. Started with one of Brad's little ones, and then somehow Brad got on a sled, and it just showed. He had a good run at that first round.
Yeah.
Or was it the second?
That was the first round. That was Ironwood PVR. Dane, I think, is going to be hard to beat. He's got 3 wins in a row after missing the first one.
I think if Dane wins this one, I bet he's going to a ride full time somewhere.
Yeah, that's the rumor mill, at least. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Little rider.
Fast.
I like the kid since we interviewed him. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, very polite young man.
Polite kid. And
I got to talk to Nick Kurth at Wassa, the PVR race. Nick is super professional, clean, clean cut, and races hard. He had a little bit of an off the week before, but he rebounded well, I think, in the PVR show. So, I don't know, lots of fast sleds.
Marcus could throw an upset in there. He's got a hard charge.
He's been fast. He won Eagle River a few years ago, won Eagle River Friday night show. Yeah, he could have a sprint in him like no other. This is going to be a hungry one. Let's just keep these guys safe and 10 lap final.
We're going to have a conversation with them, Norm. You might have to give him a pep talk about being smart.
Well, the old I didn't hear it. I don't know if Tom said it at Eagle River.
No, he didn't this year. Tom was under the weather.
It was to finish first, you must first finish.
Yes.
So that's from Dick Trickle. In order to finish first, one must first finish.
Yeah, I don't know where it actually.
I'm pretty sure it came from Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle or Anderson.
I always remember Tom saying it. I thought
who is it?
Ted Otto.
Ted Otto might have said
it, but I thought Dick Trickle said it back in the day.
But it could have been anybody. That's just a legendary saying. You must finish first in order to win. So
yeah, and 10 laps. Whole shots. 7 laps for a final?
I believe it's 7 when I seen the schedule on USSA's thing here where I stirred up the pot.
Yeah, you stirred the pot. You're good at that.
Hey, somebody's got to look out for these F500 drivers.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at me. If it was me in the race, I'd be... Yeah,
that's true. You got to give them... We'll get to that in just a minute. I'm trying to find your post here. So I can
read. I was smiling ear to ear this morning.
We were hoping because... The LCQ is on. It is 7 laps. Yeah,
7 laps. That's right. I thought, that could change.
That might be enough. Okay. I'm fine with 7 laps.
I think 10 would be
but if fun. I think I would like 10. Just from
Yeah, the powers that be probably weren't happy with me this morning, but I'm about the racers, and if it was me in the race, I'd stand by.
I'm fine with 7 laps, but if there's more than 3 reds, don't call.
You can't call the race.
Can't call the race. Not with this kind of money on the line. It's got to finish
under checkered.
Yeah, Colton Graver lasted here 10 laps.
Okay, so there's so much miscommunication out there. We don't know.
We don't know. It's between 7 and 20 laps probably. See what I did there? No, it'll be a good show. I don't want to see no dive bombs. That kind of takes away from the good hard racing.
I think maybe we bring some boxing gloves. We'll go to Dick's and
buy some.
If there's a dive bomb, we'll throw the gloves out there. And all right, boys, have at her. And on the front stretch, we have.
Yeah. Now again,
in the right corner.
Chili Bowl race director says if you're gonna fight, you got to do it between turns 4 and turns 1.
If there's a good old dive bomber, I think you get the gloves out because their race is over, but they may get a good YouTube hit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Lake ice, that's going to play a big effect on this as well. A lot of the central Minnesota pond guys are typical, used to racing on the pond, non-manufactured ice. Matt Bennett says it should be 10 laps. He thinks it's just a typo. So
lots of typos.
Okay, I'm happy with 10 laps.
I like 10 laps. It'll separate the
But lake ice. So you're going to have a few guys that maybe aren't, used to practicing on lake ice. Like we would always go out there to test for basic handling and, some hole shot stuff. But it was very hard to, do a race setup on it.
Yeah,
Because,
weather permitting too.
Yeah.
The way if it's really cold, it'll blow out, and you'll consistently moving that track around. But it's gonna cup. It's gonna cup out. It's gonna get rough, hopefully, and there's gonna be a cushion you're gonna have to play in, and you're gonna have to play inside the rough, or you're gonna play on the edge of the rough and be in some dirty ice. It's gonna get interesting real quick. This could be very interesting, but whether if the ice is malleable or if it's going to take well.
Yeah,
there's so many factors we can't.
And if the ice,
predict anything
if the ice layered well too,
yeah,
if you got any honeycombing, I think it should be a pretty consistent.
I think it layered great this year.
For the top layer. I mean, it didn't snow a whole lot early on when it was really cold, so should be good showing. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the ice. We're all, at the end of the day, it's just a racetrack.
Yeah,
you gotta look at it that way.
Everyone's dealt the same cards, right?
Yeah, as long as they get the opportunity to test on the racetrack, they're going to race on.
Yeah, that was starting to pot a little bit earlier.
If we can figure out.
I understand that USSA is moving the F500 class to Saturday. I think for how big of a show the Triple Crown is and how much money is on the line, and these guys have worked hard all season. I think they should get, a 5-10 minute window to run 3 test laps, after opening ceremonies or something.
Yeah, hell yeah. Give them an opportunity.
They got to be ready,
They're not going to see this track. And all these guys commented, well, you could run the combo. What? So fucking John, Dick, and Harry can dial you out and wreck your sled before you got to go race your big one? Yeah. No, why would I take that risk as a racer? I should be respected. I'm racing for the biggest race of F500 history other than Alexandria. Give these guys the opportunity to be treated right. They're warriors. They spent the money going to how many weekends supporting your events as the associations, USSA, PVR. Both of you got benefited from this with these numbers showing up every weekend. So give them the time of day.
I 100% agree with that.
I can't say it any other way.
Give them 3 laps. It's no different than hot laps in the morning. Just give them 3 quick ones right after opening ceremonies so they can stay up to date on track conditions. Track
development and know what they're getting into because it's a big deal. And if you don't make it a big deal for them, they're not going to want you around next year. Yeah. Maybe they'll pick a different group and they'll take their race somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best part. Unaffiliated. So I agree with it. It's not much to give them 5-10 minutes. You can get 4 or 5 sleds out there at a time. That's heck, even 6. You just rifle 2, 3 off at a time, spread them out 2 rows. 1 row goes, then the second row goes. 3 sleds in each row.
It doesn't matter.
3 laps for 6 guys, 3 laps for another 6.
It doesn't matter. I watched a race this last weekend run different series, different organizations. I watched them give opportunities for a sled that was running in exhibition event extra laps just so that it went well during the exhibition. They found time. We can find time. And whoever says this isn't a discussion for social media, pound sand. This is a discussion because if we don't stand up for these people now, they're going to get walked on and walked on and walked on.
And then they're going to be done.
Nobody's going to care about it anymore. So it is always a time for discussion.
That's all. Heck yeah. So I agree. I mean, like we said,
when we were racing F5, if all we asked for was a clean racetrack,
and that was hard.
And that was a hard thing to get. And now you're racing for some serious buck. We got to do it. There's no doubt about it. These people supported you. At the end of the day, and if they say, "Oh, the racetrack on the other side of the lake is the same," no, it's not. They have IFS sleds. They have leaf spring sleds running on. The development of bumps is different. It's completely different. You don't know what layer of ice you're going to be in from one track to the other. There's nothing the same about these 2 racetracks. They're 2 different racetracks. At the end of the day, they're going to develop 2 different ways. They're going to be different.
You are, because you're going to have outlaws and, champ sleds on one track that's definitely chew up more ice than, say, some of the vintage guys. So they're not going to be the same. Yes, I understand they can run Saturday, and most of them are going to run their Saturday show. But that's the track's going to be much different from Saturday to the end of the day Sunday.
Oh boy, Max, you're really stirring one there.
That's not our.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Put that up on screen.
I'm not. Yeah, you guys can read the comments. So.
Comment section is hot.
But yes, we support our F500 guys and gals. If they don't show up, I mean, that's 20 entries right there. That's 20 passes. And then they each bring a couple crew guys. That's 5 passes per team, roughly, let's say, average. You got to treat them right. They've been showing up. They've been continually the biggest class for the longest, I would say. I mean, yes, you had big champ numbers in the past, but there was a fall off in champ, and F500 has continually showed strong numbers.
Yeah, champ.
So you got to give them the love when they
got to give them the love. It's one weekend. It's 1 weekend, guys.
Yeah. They do bring the most entries. And
the most family, and the most friends, and probably by most of the live streams.
Yeah. That's a lot of it.
It's just what it is. Like you gotta a little.
Yeah, you gotta show up for them. They show up for you, show up for them.
Yeah.
But what else is happening at the Manawa Snodeo? Saturday is the Pro Star Cup race. Blaine looking for 6 in a row.
Yeah, Blaine is a rocket ship. He's a man on a mission. I think he might have the title locked up already.
I don't think he does because Gunner's been they've been like trading heat races. I'll see if I can find some.
I bet you it's pretty well. You just got to finish races. He doesn't even.
Yeah, he needs to.
He just needs to finish. Yep. He just needs to be there. I think he's got it locked. We're not going off numbers. That's just me throwing that out there because he's been so consistent with only 2 rounds to go.
They don't have Valcourt updated yet. But there's 3 rounds because you have the Snodeo, you have the World Series, and you have CPTC. And Blaine currently has a 118-point lead over Gunner, and that is last updated from Eganville, not updated since Valcourt.
Yeah, so there's
you could have a bad round. You blow up at Beaujeu, you got
to add Valcourt already though.
Yeah,
he clean swept at Valcourt, so add another whatever, so he made that gap
points.
bigger.
Yeah, a little. He increased the gap probably by 20 points.
Yeah,
not impossible.
He could start,
but hard.
He could
hard to do.
I don't see him letting off.
No, I think
and Matt Beatty's was missing in Valcourt with the injury up in Egan.
Yeah,
I want to say
Danik Lambert currently sits 3rd in points, and I think he's probably going to be solid in 3rd.
And he's coming this weekend. He's not missing his opportunity here. The Weatherall team is committed. They are ready. Yeah,
good for Danik. He parked his F500 I think this year and strictly focused on champ, and he's had very good results. A podium up in Ironwood. Consistent. 3rd, 4th, 5th place runs. A lot of heat wins.
Yeah,
and heat top finishes. So good for Danik.
Yeah, Danik's Mr. Consistent right now.
Yeah,
he's just showing up.
Matt Gady sitting 4th. I don't know Matt's status. I know he got banged up a little bit in Eganville. So hopefully Matt is healthy and they'll be in Manawa. And then Kelvin Peterson sits 5th currently in points for the Pro Star Series. But Manawa, you got a Pro Star Cup race. You got a full day of USSA racing on one track. You have PVR on their track both days. Hot laps are going to be at 8 o'clock both days. Racing to follow. Radar runs. Swimsuit run on Saturday.
What about that there, Norma? Swimsuit run.
Yeah, it's going to be
talking.
It'll be a little chilly. I think 24 with a slight chance of snow Saturday morning, so not too bad there. Kitty Cat, WKSR both days. Vintage Snowmobile Show on Saturday. Wisconsin Chainsaw races, mini bike, and lawnmower races on Sunday.
The chainsaws
and the Merrill Ice Drags are on Sunday.
I've heard a little bit about that from Dave Sarna, and that's been a pretty big deal. The chainsaws are going to be cool to watch. They're nothing better than 2-stroke powered saws, and I think they might even bring some of the big V8 ones out.
Oh, cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
I'm really happy that Manawa's happening. We were there about 2 years ago.
3
years ago now. Wow,
2
time
years
flies. And it was a lot of fun. Dave kind of just gave us an open book and let us drive around on the ice in the van and kind of did whatever we wanted to.
Yeah, I hope Dave saves me some room for the trailer this year.
I think I'm going to try to bring my dad's 4-wheeler, so we don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, you got twin tractors to bring down.
Yeah, I got to bring some twin tractors.
Well, I guess I got to bring.
I've been on tour. I feel like I'm on a tour with some sleds from today, getting home to tomorrow, packing again and being at Legend Laps, and then heading to Manawa and watching the Van Dalders and the Vassairs and Chester and the other Hall of Fame inductees on Saturday. I just got a good 2 weeks here of racing and events and history.
Yeah, we're kind of split because I think we're supposed to go to the Hall of Fame Saturday, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Hall of Fame. I got to do some filming.
So I don't know if we divide and conquer, and I'll do 2 days at Manawa. You do a day at the Hall of Fame, and then come down to Manawa Sunday.
Yeah, it's
going to be a split. It's going to be a busy week.
I want to figure out how I can do the trail ride, but I don't know if I want to dig the sled out.
Oh, the old Kawasaki
Invader. I don't know if I don't have a belt for it really. That's probably make a 100-mile loop that they do or 50-mile loop they do. So
yeah,
I want to do it, but I got to figure out sled to ride. Maybe someone.
I got a '94 XCR 440.
No, I want to go vintage. I want to do vintage. Like
30
a TNT or something. If I could track something down, maybe I'll have to talk to him and see what he's got laying around the shop there.
Yeah, because 31 years is vintage. 31-year-old sled.
Yeah.
It textbook vintage. Doesn't feel like vintage.
It doesn't feel like vintage just because
No.
that's what we had as kids. But I'm thinking like vintage. I think a Leaf Spring front end maybe, or a new early IFS would be really neat.
Yeah. See what Alan's got.
Even a Yamaha SSR or something before pre-phaser would be pretty cool, or something. Mach Z would be a neat IFS sled to maybe get on the history there.
You should have Stephen throw his super stock in the trailer if you're heading to Manawa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mustard bucket.
One-liner to spit up on my coat.
The suit sucker.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot going on this weekend. Legend Laps is Thursday. We will try to do a piece on that. You're going to be up there with some sleds?
Yeah, I can.
I'm going to try to get up there.
I can't wait to dive into the video from Valcourt. Yeah.
I got to ask Mark Resch if you're watching. Do I got to bring my helmet?
Oh, dude, you're bringing your helmet. Mark says he's got a wet pen ready to sign the checkbook for you. You don't even have to pay.
Mark's sponsored.
Are you in or out?
I guess I got to take off of work Thursday.
He's even got a double XL tech vest.
Oh.
He was thinking about your safety.
No, me and Mark are about the same build. Okay.
There you go.
I got to bring my helmet.
Norm is going to go to Legend Laps.
I'm going
to ride turn laps on a Formula 3 with a big boy in it.
The old 650s.
Yeah. That is a motor, Norm. But
yeah.
Hey, we'll put 6-inch carbides on it. Maybe we'll let you run on a lap down the road so it's not so aggressive.
I'm gonna ride it. I didn't say I was gonna ride it fast.
Hey, Mark, we might have to take the left side carbide off it for him so he can turn it.
Chris says, "Bring my helmet." Okay, I'll bring my helmet. So hopefully, I see everyone here next week.
You'll be fine. The bales are just probably
hard. Don't even have bales. Just let me hit the wall. Plywood might have a little more give if the bale is set up.
I hope we go around and maybe
kick them loose quick. So,
what do you think? They're blowing snow there, Norm.
Yeah,
all the
Snowcross. I'm excited.
Are you going to go?
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Maybe we try to track some hot seats down for me and you.
Yeah. We'll talk to Craig.
We don't want to stand on the hillside, do we?
Well,
I want a
it'll
TV.
be
I want a TV in my so I can
watch the replay. Yeah, it'll be middle of March, so weather should be in theory good. When Eagle River had snowcross a few years ago during COVID,
It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people there.
I drank a lot of Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
I'm ready for Bloody Marys again for snowcross. Yeah, that's the 1 week in Oval can kind of come together. The racers and enjoy watching from Wisconsin.
And we've talked to Greg Meyer about this too. Because the UP still has enough snow at the end of the year. Yeah. It'd be fun to do kind of like a poker run. If you could get some race teams together, end of March, do a little poker run. That would be a lot of fun, just kind of hang out, get some of the camaraderie back, that you don't see. All I hear is the stories, the old days. Oh yeah, we'd go race all day. Then we'd go drink beer afterwards and all hang out. And it was a real tight-knit community. And I still think it is. I just think we lost a little bit of that camaraderie, over the years. So it'd be fun to do a poker run.
I think Legend Laps with us going there for the first time, we'll get to hear some stories.
I'm excited.
And I really like the history of the sport. And I like to write history. And that's why I'm pushing to do what I can in this sport to make it happen. And we're writing history every day right now. We're 5 seasons, 11 episodes into writing history here.
Yeah, hopefully it's good.
Maybe one day we will get inducted into the Hall of Fame for media. Might not be a good racer.
Don't put the wagon in front of the horse.
Hey,
but you never know.
There's not many other guys in this area.
No, yeah. There ain't much going on. But no, lots happening this weekend. Check out Legend Laps if you can. Like I said, free to the public. There's a sign up online for if you want to, bring some old race sleds out. Here's a question: if you have a vintage sled and you need a little test time prior to the World Series, does Legend Laps count as test time?
I don't know. It's like 6 laps in total. Two.
Hey, that's what Thursdays at Eagle River used to be, was 6 laps. And everyone paid $50 for that. So
yeah, I don't think it would be much. I think it's more of story.
No, it's camaraderie and hanging out
in the paddock and
I'm excited.
Run 2 laps, drink a coffee. Run 2 laps, drink a coffee, tell a story, kind of deal. And it's just cool to see old iron out there.
Yeah, a lot of vintage stuff, stuff that you don't usually see unless it's in a museum. So,
yeah, there'd be a few twin tracks and some IFS sleds and maybe some
F3s.
F3, a Formula 3 sled.
Champs are vintage. Derby watching. So, third annual. I think they're starting 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I got to make sure I have that correct so I can have the trailer warmed up for everybody to come through and sign hoods and have fun.
Alex Nowak's asking, how's the arm, BG? Are we going to see you on a sled at Legend Laps?
No, there's no laps for BG. He can't get it straight yet, but we got PT every twice a week, and when I can make it. And Alex, you got the same injury, so
the photographer. Enjoy the game photography.
It's not a fun one as you learned probably.
Yeah,
it's a painful one. PT is actually worse. I take a rotator cuff over elbow.
Yeah,
and people say a rotator cuff's bad. So
you've had both, right?
Yeah, I'm on both on the same side.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So
that wraps it up for us.
I think 4 2-lap sessions is what Mark is telling us.
4 2-lap sessions, and we are.
So. Yeah, Legend Laps happening Thursday, Manawa Snodeo Saturday and Sunday. Hall of Fame going on this weekend too. If you want to stay north and do some trail riding, trails are opening up through northern Wisconsin as well. So
and then you just make it down for the Decker Triple Crown to watch that on Sunday.
Big show on Sunday.
You kind of get everything. I think I'm going to try talking Chester and coming down to Dorchester, or I'm sorry, not Dorchester, to Manawa to watch the Triple Crown.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
It's kind of a Skidoo legend there, and it'd be neat to see him come see some racing in the States if he's staying, I believe, the whole week from when I talked to him.
Yeah, he's in town. I think the Hall posted something today.
Yeah.
That he's back
probably coming in today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or
he'll be at Legend Lab, so.
Yeah, and don't forget, Dorchester's throwing a bunch of money in
Up to
February
21,000.
21,000. That guy's killing it. Give it to Paul.
Yeah.
Paul, I always said maybe you are the guy to hold the Supermod Nationals. Wink, wink.
Yeah, we
you
talked
could pull
about
it
that
off.
too. Big Supermod show.
Hey, he's got a cool little bull ring racetrack there that would be very neat in the community. Betting on the front stretch with the Mexican and Hispanic community and 2 different announcers. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. What day are Twin Trackers at Manawa?
I don't think we have something scheduled on a schedule yet. We will have them at the facility, but I don't know if they're going to turn laps. But there was rumors.
I think there's a parade lap. As part of opening ceremonies was the
possibly.
talks.
But I don't believe there's anything under speed.
Yeah.
But
maybe coming soon. Never know. That could change.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for watching. We'll hope to see you at an event this weekend.